Brock Lesnar wins. LOL. I'm Ollie Davis. Welcome to this breaking news edition of WrestleTalk because Elimination Chamber 2022 has just finished. And hey, it was an okay show. It was an okay show from the start all the way through to the end. The end went frickin' bananas. And then it finished. And Lesnar was the champion. And isn't that what we all kind of expected? So it doesn't leave as bad a taste in our mouth. Yes, it's going to be Lesnar and Roman for both titles at WrestleMania. I made my peace with that back in mid-January when I thought Brock was going to win both the title match and the Rumble. Maybe, I guess. Please, if you haven't already, give us a subscribe, enable notifications to always on, because we've got a bunch more Elimination Chamber Fallout videos coming, including some Cody Rhodes speculation and whatever crazy backstage happenings occur over the next 24 hours. But this pay-per-view, let's talk about the main event first. The Men's Elimination Chamber was a weird one. Seth Rollins and Austin Theory started things out. They're wrestling, and Rollins hits a buckle bomb into Bobby Lashley's pod. Pretty cool. The wall collapses, it crushes Lashley against the inside of the pod. Looked pretty normal, if I'm going to be honest. It looked like it hurt too much. And actually later on in that very match, a similar thing kind of happened to Austin Theory, and he was relatively fine. But Lashley stayed down. He was selling that. Adam Pearce got in there. Medical personnel got in there. And they're checking on Lashley like he's got some kind of concussion, shining the light in both eyes, checking he's responsive. And they declare, this guy's got to go. He's got to get out of there. So they take him out of the chamber. And the chamber is wide open. So you're like, okay, this ain't my first wrestling. Cody Rhodes is running in there, right? He's going to take Lashley's place, win the WWE Championship or something. But no, the chamber was closed. The match proceeded. Riddle entered. AJ Styles entered. And then, it's Lashley's turn to enter. Brock Lesnar hasn't entered yet. And Lashley can't enter. He's not in there. So Lesnar's like, well, F this. And he awesomely kicks open his own pod wall, goes in there, F5 to Seth, eliminated, F5 to AJ, eliminated, F5 to Riddle, eliminated. And then he looks right at Austin, and Austin's like, kick in the dick! Low blow that, Lesnar. Seriously, that's his and Undertaker's only weakness. So Austin Theory does that. They have a really fun 5 extra minutes of action, which is really just prolonging the inevitable. It wasn't, say, like Santino's final 2 back in 2011, I want to say, where there was kind of like a, oh, is Santino going to win? And you buy into those near falls. It wasn't that kind of fun tension. It was more just like, ooh, how's Brock going to murder Austin Theory? And the answer was kicking the pod in as Austin Theory tried to hide in one. That was the sort of similar Lashley spot. And then F5ing him off the top of the pod. An idea that works better spoken than performed, because Theory just took the bump, as he should have done, by landing on his feet and then sort of rolling backwards. But, you know, cool idea. And then, yeah, Lesnar F5'd him. And I'm like, okay, well, this is where Lashley struggles back out and valiantly fights for a few more minutes despite his middling injury. Or it's where someone else comes out. I don't know. The Miz. Cash in a briefcase he just found round the corner. Or even Cody Rhodes. But no, the bell just rang. Brock Lesnar is your WWE champion. He won the Men's Chamber. He won the Royal Rumble. He's going to get a shot at the other championship at WrestleMania 38 against Roman Reigns. It's champion versus champion, and not in a Survivor Series way, I'm pretty confident. Not bragging rights. No, I think this is for both belts. The winner of that match at Mania will be the undisputed dual title holder. which you've got to assume is going to be Roman. And then WWE can have like 5 months, let's say until SummerSlam, when Cody cashes in his Money in the Bank shot and wins one of the belts. Roman can hold both top titles. He can appear on both Raw and SmackDown. I'm not against that. I think that's probably where WWE should be at right now, because they've put all their eggs in one Roman veneered basket, and it is working. He's the biggest star. He's the best act. He's the most strongly booked. Why not have him on both shows and try to get bigger ratings by using his star power draw? Overexposure. That's a definite reason to not do that. But worth a go for a few months. Try and find the person to challenge Reigns eventually. So yeah, Brock Lesnar wins, LOL. I didn't mind it. I've seen a lot of people who were angry at it, the usual, I'm never watching WWE again, empty threats. So yeah. Elsewhere on the show, Roman Reigns beat Goldberg pretty easily. Barely an inconvenience. He got speared twice, kind of just got up. Goldberg went for a jackhammer, and then Roman guillotined him, and Goldberg just passed out in 6 minutes. Pretty uninspiring. Didn't make Goldberg look great. I was pretty disappointed in this match, and I think a lot of other people were. Although the right result, Goldberg winning, would have been shocking, but, for what end? To pop a SmackDown rating at the expense of almost 2 years of story? It's not how I like my wrestling. Bully Ray. The Women's Elimination Chamber match was actually one of the... You know what? It's the best Women's Chamber match they've ever done. And that's despite it sometimes looking like a early noughties sex party. Because, as is the custom in Saudi Arabia, no lady skin really should be shown. So, it was skin-tight leather outfits all around. So Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are in like this PVC onesie and this red leather onesie, and it's just like, oh, that, and they're in pods like a nightclub. It's like, oh, that thing you're trying to avoid, the sort of sexualization. No, you've totally done that. So anyway, it was a really good match. Not a good night for the Scots. Both Doudrop and Nikki A, almost a superhero, got eliminated first. But then the final 4 were terrific. 4 baby faces. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Alexa Bliss, a returning Alexa Bliss, who I thought looked fantastic. It was really good to see her back in the ring, doing all her stuff. And there was no supernatural nonsense. She got a swing in her pod. It's a nice touch. But it came down to Belair and Bliss. And Belair won after some really tense back and forths because, I could have seen WWE going with either woman. So Belair will face Lynch at WrestleMania. A good match and the right decision, because this is a story they've been telling since SummerSlam. And Belair can have the prestige, potentially, of main eventing 2 WrestleManias back-to-back. Granted, night 1 WrestleManias, but still. Sasha Banks last year, Becky Lynch this year. That's credit to WWE, that's how you make a star. Ronda Rousey beat Sonya Deville in their tag match. Charlotte just sort of let it happen because Ronda had one arm tied behind her back. Sonya revealed her arm injury was a ruse, but Ronda still beat them. This was a fine storyline style angle for Rousey versus Ronda. Wait, that's the same person. Rousey versus Flair. Drew McIntyre nearly killed Madcap Moss by giving him an Alabama slam, and Madcap Moss sort of botched it, and he just headbutted the center of the earth. I don't know how he was totally fine to continue wrestling. But of course Drew beat him, as he should have. Becky Lynch beat Lita in a nice nostalgia match. It was fine. It was just a nice piece of there's Lita. Becky Lynch was very good, of course. And the Usos and the Viking Raiders never got started. because the Usos just attacked the Viking Raiders, suplexed Ivar onto Eric. Pretty normal spot, but apparently that was enough to write the Raiders completely out of this match. So they never got started. I've seen people in WWE just like straight up concuss their opponents with a chair or something before the bell rings. Ivar getting suplexed onto Eric wasn't important enough. The only other thing of note on this show was the pre-show match and how that tied into a promo later on. The Miz lost to Rey Mysterio in the opener, on the kickoff show, whatever it's called, and then later on in the main card, he cut a promo on having to find an international superstar as a potential tag partner. Could that be a celebrity? Could that be a Stone Cold Steve Austin? Probably not. Could that be a Cody Rhodes? I mean, what's a more WWE move than bringing back Cody Rhodes and put him in a tag team with The Miz? What do you think? And what did you think of the entire show? For me, I had a good time. I'm not offended by the Lesnar result. I know that's a divisive result, but I don't mind it. Everyone else looked weak, but that's the way the Lesnar storyline is. It's white noise to complain about it now, really, unfortunately. I know that sounds cynical and resigned, but that's how I enjoy WWE sometimes. So I get, using my weird rating system, I've put that at 70%. It's a 3.5 out of 5 in the grand scheme of things. Surprisingly enjoyable show. But the most important thing is that I am again your Jam That Champion. Granted, it is an interim belt, but that's because Pete, who asks you to acknowledge him as his tribal Pete, didn't acknowledge you back. He didn't show up for this live reactions where the championship was on the line, so this is why we have an interim belt. And I want it. Which means I'm going to successfully defend this baby at AEW Revolution, and I'm going to unify the championship belts to create an undisputed Jam That Champion, a WrestleJamia. I've said jam a lot. And actually, the most important thing is a huge thank you to everyone who donated to Sammy for Syria during our live reactions of Elimination Chamber. We raised over $1,000 thanks to all of you. Whenever we do a Saudi show, we put all the super chat money, ultra chat money, generally towards a charity, and we've done it many times for Sammy for Syria. It's a very worthy cause. Don't worry, you can still give. So search Sammy for Syria into Google, links in the video description below, and you too can get in and help them out. They're on their way to $250,000 for charity. But until then, let me know what you thought of the pay-per-view down below. I'll be answering comments here and there. Jam that jam.